if you simply treat religion like any other aspect of human activity, which means it should be subject to questioning and ridicule, like politicians and politics and physics and sex and everything else, then religion, if you just ask that religion be put on that same framework, it raises a consciousness that people are just somehow don't think it should be. It should be here and never subject to any of those things.
That's right. It is regarded as having a kind of privileged status, whereas you're allowed to criticize somebody else's politics or their football team or their taste in clothes or something. Criticizing their religion is regarded as somehow beyond the pale. And I think that really has got to stop. There's really no reason at all why religion should be immune to, not strident in the sense of shouting obscenities, but just simply critical, clarifying questions. I got into trouble last week, I think it was, in the United States. They had a thing called the Reason Rally in Washington, D.C.
Which we were both at.
And which we were both at. And I spoke poorly, I think. I encouraged people to ridicule the doctrine, the Roman Catholic doctrine of the transubstantiation, the idea that the wafer turns into the body of Jesus. Not symbolically, as an Anglican would say, but literally. And I encourage the audience at the Reason Rally, if ever they meet a Roman Catholic who claims to believe that, to ridicule it. I mean, it is clearly a ridiculous belief. But I was mistakenly thought to be saying what you want to do is ridicule the person.
Yeah.
I quoted the British journalist Johann Hari, who said, "I respect you too much to respect your ridiculous beliefs." And I think I now would want to change that a bit and say, I respect you too much to believe that you could possibly hold those ridiculous beliefs. And I encourage people to, when they meet somebody who holds a ridiculous belief like that, to really say, do you really believe that? Are you seriously telling me that that's what you believe? And encourage them either to deny it, in which case to deny the religion to which they claim to belong, or to defend it and say, no, it's not ridiculous for the following reason, and talk about Thomas Aquinas and accidents and things like that. And if they can convince somebody that it's not ridiculous, then well and good. But don't let them hide behind the screen of saying, oh, that's my religion, it's private, you can't criticize it because it's my religion. It should be criticized, and it should be defended if it's defensible. And I think that if that were applied to politicians who, at present, in the United States, and it's obviously not true in Australia because you actually have an atheist prime minister, that in the United States there are 535 members of Congress, of whom 534 claim to be devout religious believers. Well, that's a statistical nonsense. Of course they're not. How could they be? And so what I tried to encourage Americans to do was to challenge your congressman or woman and say, I don't think you really do believe that. Come out and actually say so. Don't hide behind the screen of secrecy that says religion is a private matter not to be questioned. Now that doesn't go down well in America because there's this deep-seated view that religion is somehow a private matter. But when you're trying to decide whether to vote for somebody, you want to know his policy on taxation, his policy on foreign policy, on the Iraq War. You want to know his policy on all those sorts of things. If you know that quite apart from his policies, he holds some utterly nutty belief, like that a wafer turns literally into the body of a first-century Jew, just because a priest blesses it. I mean, that is barking mad. And do you want to vote for somebody who's capable of holding in his head a nonsensical belief of that sort? And they should not be allowed to get away with saying, oh, that's private, it's religion, you can argue about my taxation policy, but you can't argue about my nutty beliefs.